She sat on a stranger's lap just to escape her ex, unaware he's a millionaire who'd protect her. Danielle Brooks had exactly 10 seconds before her ex-boyfriend would catch her. She could hear Jason's voice cutting through the Manhattan crowd, that familiar rage that used to make her flinch now propelling her forward in blind panic. The Ritz-Carlton restaurant glowed like salvation through the December frost, and she burst through the doors without thinking, her breath crystallizing in desperate puffs. There, corner table, a man alone, reading something on his phone. Dark hair, expensive suit, the kind of presence that commanded space without trying. She didn't have time to think, only to act. "Please," she whispered, sliding onto his lap in one fluid motion, her arm wrapping around his neck like they'd done this 1,000 times. "Just play along, please." The stranger's body tensed for exactly one heartbeat before his arm curved around her waist, steadying her. His cologne, something woodsy and expensive, filled her senses as Jason stormed through the door. "There you are, darling," the stranger said, his voice deep velvet against her ear. "I was wondering what was keeping you." She'd just sat on a millionaire's lap, she just didn't know it yet. Before we dive into this incredible story of unexpected protection and love, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our emotional love stories. Danielle felt the stranger's hand tighten slightly on her waist as Jason's eyes swept the restaurant. Her ex-boyfriend stood in the doorway like a storm cloud, his face flushed from cold and anger, scanning every table with the intensity of a predator. The restaurant was packed with New York's elite. She could tell from the jewelry, the way they held themselves, the casual arrogance of wealth. And here she was, a barista in a borrowed dress, sitting on a complete stranger's lap like she belonged there. When Jason's gaze landed on them, she forced herself to laugh, the sound brittle but convincing enough. Her fingers found the stranger's shoulder, playing with the fabric of his suit jacket. Expensive, she could tell from the texture alone. "You're terrible," she said to the stranger, loud enough for Jason to hear. "Making me wait in this weather. You know how I hate the cold." The man, whose name she didn't even know, played his part flawlessly. His free hand came up to tuck a strand of her hair behind her ear, the gesture so intimate, so natural that for a moment she forgot they were strangers. His fingers were warm against her cold skin, and she suppressed a shiver that had nothing to do with the temperature. "Forgive me," he said, those dark eyes never leaving hers. "Let me make it up to you. Champagne? The Cru Grand Cuvée you love." The casual mention of champagne that probably cost more than her rent made Jason take a step back. She saw the uncertainty flicker across his face. This wasn't the Danielle he knew, the one who worked doubles to pay bills, who shopped at thrift stores, who'd never set foot in a place like this except to deliver coffee for corporate events. Jason took 3 steps toward them before a waiter in a crisp white jacket intercepted him. "Sir, do you have a reservation?" "I'm looking for someone," Jason snapped, his voice carrying across the elegant space. Several diners looked up, disapproval clear on their faces. This was not a place where one raised their voice. Danielle involuntarily pressed closer to the stranger, and his response was immediate, protective, assured. His hand splayed across her back, and she could feel the solid strength of him, the calm confidence that money and power brought. "Is that him?" the stranger asked quietly, his lips close enough to her ear that she felt his breath. "The one you're running from?" She nodded against his shoulder, unable to speak. "How long has he been following you?" 6 months, she whispered. "Since we broke up, I've tried everything. Restraining order, police, moving apartments twice. He always finds me." The stranger's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. She felt the shift in his body, from playing a part to something more genuine, more dangerous. Then louder, with perfect timing as Jason approached their table. "Mr. Chen will be joining us for the merger discussion at 8. I hope you don't mind mixing a little business with our date, darling. The Tokyo deal won't close itself." The casual mention of international business made Jason falter. He stood 3 feet from their table, fists clenched, his cheap suit looking even cheaper in the warm lighting of the restaurant. Danielle could see him taking in the scene, the intimate way she was positioned on the stranger's lap, the expensive watch on his wrist. God, was that a Patek Philippe? The way the waitstaff hovered nearby with obvious deference. "Danielle," Jason said, his voice lower now but still threatening. She kept her eyes on the stranger's face, finding unexpected strength there. His expression was calm, controlled, but his eyes held something dangerous, a warning that Jason seemed to sense even through his anger. This was not a man to be trifled with. "Jason," she said, proud when her voice didn't shake. "What are you doing here?" "We need to talk." "No," the stranger said, his voice carrying the kind of authority that made boardrooms fall silent. "You don't. The lady is with me tonight, and every night, if I have anything to say about it." The possessive words should have frightened her. She'd just escaped one possessive man. But there was something different in the stranger's tone. Not ownership, but protection. Not control, but choice. "Who the hell are you?" Jason demanded, but his voice had lost some of its edge, uncertainty creeping in. The stranger smiled, not warmly, but with the calculated precision of someone who'd demolished bigger men in negotiations. "Ethan Cole. And you are?" Danielle felt the shift in the room like a physical thing. Two women at the next table whispered excitedly. The waiter suddenly stood straighter. The maitre d' appeared from nowhere, hovering nearby. Even Jason took half a step back. She didn't understand why, but the name Ethan Cole meant something to everyone except her. "This is between me and Danielle," Jason said, but his voice had lost its edge entirely now. "Actually," Ethan said, pulling out his phone with his free hand, "it's between you and the NYPD if you don't leave immediately. I'm fairly certain following someone for 6 months constitutes stalking. My lawyers would be happy to explain the specifics." "Your lawyers?" "Cole, Matthews, and Stein. Perhaps you've heard of them. They handled the Branson case last month. 20 million in damages for harassment, if I recall correctly, though I believe we could get more, given the pattern of behavior here." Jason's face went pale. Everyone in New York knew about the Branson case, a powerful executive who'd stalked his ex-assistant, thinking his money made him untouchable. The firm that took him down had become legendary overnight, known for their scorched-earth tactics against abusers. "She's lying to you," Jason said desperately. "Whatever she told you, what she told me," Ethan interrupted, his voice dropping to something lethal, "is that you've been terrorizing her for 6 months, that she's had to upend her entire life to escape you, that you've cost her jobs, apartments, and peace of mind. Would you like to dispute any of that in court?" "This isn't over," Jason said to Danielle, but he was already backing away. "Yes," Ethan said simply, finally, "it is. And if I see you within 500 feet of her again, you'll discover just how vindictive I can be. I've destroyed Fortune 500 companies for fun, Mr. Thorne," Jason supplied automatically. "Mr. Thorne, imagine what I could do to you if I'm motivated. And trust me, keeping Danielle safe is incredibly motivating." Jason lingered for another moment, his eyes burning with rage and something else. Fear, maybe. Real fear. Then he turned and stormed out, the door slamming behind him with enough force to make the crystal chandelier tinkle. Danielle stayed frozen on Ethan's lap for another moment, suddenly hyper-aware of every point of contact between them. His hand on her waist, her arm around his neck, the solid warmth of him beneath her. Her heart was racing, but she couldn't tell if it was from fear or something else entirely. The entire restaurant seemed to be watching them, and she could hear whispers starting at nearby tables. "He's gone," Ethan said gently. "You're safe." She scrambled off his lap, face burning with embarrassment. Her legs were shaking and she had to grab the edge of the table to steady herself. "I'm so sorry, I can't believe God, I literally just sat on you. I don't even know you." "Sit," he said, gesturing to the chair across from him. "Please, you're shaking." She was. Adrenaline was abandoning her system, leaving her trembling and slightly nauseous. She sank into the chair, wrapping her arms around herself, trying to process what had just happened. The maitre d' appeared with a cashmere shawl, draping it around her shoulders without being asked. "Thank you," she whispered to Ethan. "I didn't know what else to do. He was following me from work, and I panicked, and you were just sitting here and—" "Breathe," Ethan interrupted, signaling the waiter. "Bring us tea, something calming, and clear the nearest tables. Give us some privacy." The waiter nodded and hurried away. Within moments, the tables around them were being diplomatically cleared, diners relocated with complimentary champagne, and apologies for the inconvenience. Danielle watched in amazement as the restaurant staff orchestrated the reorganization with ballet-like precision. "They're moving people for us?" "They're moving people for you," Ethan corrected. "You've had a shock. You need space. This must be costing a fortune." "Money is just money. Your safety and comfort are priceless." The tea arrived, a whole service with delicate china and small pastries she hadn't ordered. Danielle wrapped her hands around the cup gratefully, letting the warmth seep into her still trembling fingers. The tea smelled like jasmine and something else, something calming. "I'm Ethan," he said, though she'd already heard him tell Jason. "Though I suppose we should have exchanged names before you sat on me." Danielle Brooks." And again, "I'm mortified." "Don't be. It's the most interesting Friday night I've had in years." She studied him properly for the first time. Early 30s, she guessed. Impossibly handsome in that unfair way some men managed. Sharp jawline, perfect stubble, eyes that seemed to shift between brown and gold in the candlelight. His suit probably cost more than she made in 3 months, and his watch, definitely a Patek Philippe, she could see it clearly now, cost more than most people's cars. "You handled that like you deal with stalkers every day," she said. "I deal with bullies in expensive suits every day. Your ex is just a different variety, less sophisticated, more desperate. Those are often the most dangerous." "Those women at the next table seem to know who you are. The entire staff certainly does." "Probably. Should I know who you are?" He smiled. A real smile this time, not the calculated one he'd given Jason. It transformed his face, making him look younger, less intimidating. "I hope not. I prefer when people don't. But you're someone important." "Important is relative. I'm successful in business. That makes me important to some people, invisible to others. I prefer the latter, honestly." "Well, Mr. Mysterious Ethan Cole, you probably saved me from a very ugly scene. Possibly worse. Jason doesn't usually back down that easily." "How long were you together?" The question was gentle, curious rather than prying. Danielle found herself answering honestly, something about his steady presence making her feel safe enough to share. 2 years. It started beautifully. He was charming, attentive, everything you want. We met at a marketing conference. I was presenting on digital strategies for small businesses, and he approached me afterward, said he was impressed by my ideas, wanted to hear more over coffee. She laughed bitterly. I should have known it was too good to be true. What happened? The attention became possession. Slowly, so slowly I didn't notice at first. He'd get upset if I worked late, said I was choosing my career over him. Then it was my friends. They were bad influences, trying to break us up. My family lived too far away, took too much of my time when I visited. Every piece of my life that wasn't about him became a threat. Ethan listened without interrupting, his dark eyes focused entirely on her. It was intense, being the subject of that complete attention. "The controlling got worse," she continued. "He'd check my phone, accuse me of cheating if I talked to any man, even the 70-year-old security guard at my office. He'd show up at my work unexpectedly, cause scenes if I was in a meeting with male colleagues. I lost a promotion because of his behavior." "And you tried to leave?" 3 times. The first time he convinced me he'd change, went to therapy for exactly 2 sessions before declaring himself fixed. The second time, he threatened to kill himself. I stayed another 6 months out of guilt. And the third time? He hit me. She said it simply, matter-of-factly, but Ethan's knuckles went white around his water glass. Just once. Backhanded me during an argument about my working late. But once was enough. I finally saw what everyone had been trying to tell me. It would only get worse. So you left. That night. Packed everything while he was passed out drunk. Stayed with a friend for a week while I found a new apartment. Filed a restraining order, changed my phone number, blocked him on everything. That was 6 months ago. And he's been stalking you since. He says he loves me. that I'm his soulmate, that I'm being dramatic and overreacting to one mistake. He's shown up at 3 different jobs, gotten me fired from 2 of them by causing scenes. I've moved apartments twice. The restraining order expired last month, and the police said without new evidence of threat they couldn't renew it. That's insane. That's the system. Unless he physically hurts me again, they can't do much. Following me, showing up places, sending flowers to my work, it's all grey area legally. Not anymore, Ethan said firmly. My lawyers will have a new restraining order filed by morning, one with teeth. I can't afford— You won't pay a cent. Consider it my civic duty to keep creeps off the streets. They sat in silence for a moment. Around them, the restaurant had returned to its normal, elegant hum, though Danielle noticed the staff was still giving them a wide berth, allowing them privacy. What do you do, Danielle? Ethan asked, changing the subject. I'm a barista at Grounded Coffee on 42nd. Not exactly impressive, especially in a place like this. She gestured at the opulent surroundings. But it pays the bills while I figure out what's next. You mentioned a marketing conference. You were in marketing. Digital marketing specifically. I was good at it too. Had just gotten promoted to senior analyst at Morrison Associates when everything fell apart with Jason. She shrugged. Starting over is harder than people make it sound. References are complicated when you had to leave jobs because of a stalker. I imagine it is. What about you? What does the mysterious Ethan Cole do that makes restaurant staff treat him like royalty? Technology, software development primarily. Very boring stuff. Something about the way he said it suggested it was anything but boring. But she didn't push. He'd earned his secrets by playing along with her desperate charade. The waiter appeared with menus and Danielle nearly choked at the prices. The appetizers cost more than her weekly grocery budget. The entrees were marked with market price, which she knew meant, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. Order whatever you want, Ethan said, apparently reading her expression. Consider it combat pay for that performance. I really shouldn't. When's the last time you had a proper meal? The question was gentle, but perceptive. She'd been living on ramen and coffee shop leftovers for months, every penny saved in case she needed to run again. Her silence was answer enough. Order, he said firmly. Please, you've had a shock and you need food. She ordered the salmon, trying not to think about the cost. Ethan ordered steak and they fell into surprisingly easy conversation. He asked about her marketing experience, really listening when she explained her ideas about digital strategies for small businesses. The problem is that most small businesses think they need to compete with big corporations on their terms, she explained, warming to her subject. But that's wrong. They need to find their niche, their unique voice. A bakery doesn't need to be Starbucks. It needs to be the place where everyone knows your name and your favorite pastry. Localized personalization versus mass market appeal, Ethan said, understanding immediately. Exactly. And digital marketing makes that possible in ways that weren't available even 5 years ago. Targeted social media, community engagement, storytelling that builds brand loyalty. She stopped, realizing she was rambling. Sorry, I get carried away. Don't apologize. Your passion is refreshing. Most people I meet are passionate about nothing except money. Money's nice, she said, then blushed. I mean, obviously I wouldn't know personally, but money's a tool, Ethan interrupted. Nothing more, nothing less. It can build or destroy, protect or imprison. It's all in how you use it. Their food arrived, and Danielle nearly gasped at the presentation. Her salmon looked like art, garnished with things she couldn't identify but that tasted amazing. She tried to eat slowly, casually, like she belonged here, but she was starving, and it was the best meal she'd had in months. You were right about the marketing strategies, Ethan said as they ate. Most businesses do try to be everything to everyone. It's why 90% of startups fail. You see a lot of startups in your work. I invest in some, mentor others, crush the competition of still others. He said the last part with a self-deprecating smile. The corporate world isn't always pretty, but it's successful for you. By one metric, yes. By others. He paused, seeming to consider his words. Success is relative. I have money, influence, respect in my field, But I eat most meals alone, work 18-hour days, and can't remember the last time I had a conversation that wasn't about profit margins or market penetration. Until tonight. Until tonight, he agreed, when a beautiful woman literally fell into my lap and reminded me there's a world outside conference rooms. Danielle blushed at being called beautiful. She knew she was attractive enough, pretty in a girl-next-door way, but sitting in this restaurant surrounded by women who looked like they'd stepped out of Vogue, she felt very ordinary. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Of course." "Why didn't you push me off? Most people would have." A stranger suddenly sitting on them, obviously in distress, most people would have reacted badly. He considered the question, cutting his steak with precise movements. "You were scared, really scared, not drama scared. I know the difference." "How?" "My sister," he said after a pause. "She had an ex who wouldn't let go. It took 2 years and a lot of lawyers to make him stop. I learned to recognize that particular type of fear, the kind that comes from being hunted by someone who claims to love you." "Is she okay now?" "Married with 2 kids, lives in Boston, very happy." He smiled. "She'd like you." "Because I randomly sit on strangers? Because you're resourceful under pressure? Because you're surviving something that breaks most people? Because you haven't let it make you bitter?" "You don't know that. Maybe I'm incredibly bitter." Bitter people don't light up when talking about helping small businesses find their voice. Bitter people don't apologize for their passion. Bitter people don't worry about the cost of dinner when they've just escaped their stalker. She didn't know what to say to that, so she focused on her food. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, and Danielle found herself relaxing for the first time in months. She felt safe here, with this stranger who'd protected her without question. "Tell me about your sister," she said eventually. "Elizabeth." "Lizzie. She's 3 years older, bossy, brilliant, and the only person in the world who can make me feel like an idiot with a single look." His affection was obvious. "She's a pediatric surgeon at Boston Children's, saves lives daily and still finds time to terrorize me about my personal life." "What does she terrorize you about?" "Working too much, dating the wrong women, not dating at all, living in what she calls a serial killer apartment, all white and chrome with no personal touches." "Is she right?" "Probably. Almost certainly about the apartment. I bought it furnished and haven't changed a thing in 3 years." 3 years is a long time to live somewhere without making it yours," Danielle observed. "I travel constantly. The apartment is more of a landing pad than a home. I'm there maybe 10 nights a month." "That sounds lonely." "It's efficient." He paused. "But yes, lonely." They talked through dessert, which he insisted on, through coffee, through a second round of coffee. The restaurant gradually emptied around them, but the staff made no move to hurry them. Danielle found herself telling him things she hadn't told anyone, about growing up with a single mom who worked 3 jobs, about putting herself through NYU on scholarships and loans, about the dreams she'd had before Jason made her world small. "I wanted to start my own agency," she admitted. "Digital marketing for small businesses who can't afford the big firms. Help the little guys compete. I had it all planned out. I'd saved almost enough for startup costs, had potential clients lined up, even found the perfect little office space in Brooklyn." "What happened to the plans?" "Jason happened. He said it was too risky, that I should be grateful for my stable job. Then when he got me fired from that stable job, he said it was a sign I should focus on us instead of my career." She laughed bitterly. "I lost my savings moving apartments to escape him. The office space is probably a Starbucks now. Why not still do it? With what money, what connections, what references? I'm starting from less than zero. I'm 28 years old, serving coffee to people younger than me who are already VPs at their companies." "Everyone starts somewhere," says the man in the $2,000 suit. $3,000, he corrected with a self-deprecating smile. "And I started with nothing too. Less than nothing, actually. Negative 40,000 in student loans, a laptop held together with duct tape, and an idea everyone said was stupid." "What was the idea?" "Security software that anticipated breaches before they happened, predictive defense instead of reactive. Every investor I pitched to said it was impossible, unnecessary, or both. But it wasn't. Cole Technologies is now the leading predictive security firm in the world. We protect 60% of Fortune 500 companies. Danielle's fork clattered to her plate. Cole Technologies. You're that Ethan Cole. Guilty. You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The company is. I just run it. I literally sat on a billionaire's lap. Multi-millionaire. The billion mark is still a few years away, according to my CFO. She buried her face in her hands. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I bothered someone actually important with my drama. Stop, his voice was firm. You didn't bother me. You gave me the most interesting, genuine evening I've had in years. And I'm not important, I'm just successful. There's a difference. There really isn't. There really is. He leaned forward. Important is the barista who remembers your order and asks about your day. Important is the teacher who believes in a kid when no one else does. Important is the woman who's brave enough to ask for help when she needs it. The waiter appeared with the check, and Ethan paid without letting her see the total, though she caught enough zeros to make her stomach flip. Thank you, she said, for dinner, for playing along, for everything. It was my pleasure. He stood, helping her with her coat. When had he gotten her coat from the hostess? Can I drive you home? I'll take the subway. It's almost midnight. Let me at least get you a cab. They walked outside together, and the December air hit like a slap after the warm restaurant. Ethan raised his hand, and immediately a black town car pulled up to the curb. Not a cab, a private driver. This is too much. It's really not. He handed the driver a card. Take Ms. Brooks wherever she needs to go. Wait until she's inside safely. Yes, Mr. Cole. Ethan turned to her, and for a moment they stood there in the cold, their breath forming clouds between them. The city lights reflected in his dark eyes, and Danielle felt something shift in her chest, something she hadn't felt in so long she'd forgotten what it was called. Will you be okay? Thanks to you, yes. He might come back. I know. He pulled out his phone. Give me your number. Ethan. Not for that. Well, not just for that. He smiled. If Jason bothers you again, call me, anytime. She entered her number into his phone, and he immediately texted her so she'd have his. This is crazy, she said. You don't even know me. I know enough. What do you know? I know you're brave enough to ask for help when you need it, smart enough to escape a bad situation, strong enough to start over, passionate about helping others succeed. He paused. And I know I'd like to see you again under less dramatic circumstances. You want to see me again? Very much. I'm a mess, Ethan. My ex is a stalker. I'm broke. I'm working a job I'm overqualified for, and I literally jumped on you like a crazy person. And yet this has been the best evening I've had in years. She searched his face for signs of insincerity, the polished lines men like him must use constantly. But his expression was open, honest, maybe even vulnerable. Coffee? She suggested. Tomorrow I make an excellent cappuccino. It's a date. She climbed into the car, looking back to see him standing on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching to make sure she left safely. As the car pulled away, she pulled out her phone and Googled him properly. CEO of Cole Technologies, net worth estimated at $400 million. Featured in Forbes' 30 under 30 3 years running. Notoriously private. Rarely photographed. The pictures that did exist showed him at tech conferences and charity galas, always alone, always serious. One article called him the Wolf of Tech Street for his ruthless business tactics. Another praised his innovative approach to security. A gossip blog speculated about his love life, noting he'd been single since his broken engagement to a senator's daughter 2 years ago. She'd sat on one of the most eligible bachelors in New York's lap, and he wanted to have coffee with her. Her phone buzzed, a text from Ethan. Thank you for trusting me tonight. Sweet dreams, Danielle. She smiled despite herself, typing back, Thank you for catching me when I fell. Literally. His response was immediate. Always. When she got home to her tiny studio in Queens, there was a package waiting outside her door. Her name was on it, but no return address. Her blood ran cold. Jason had left gifts before. But when she opened it, carefully, ready to run if necessary, she found an expensive phone inside with a note. "Your stalker might have your current number. This one is secure, encrypted, and has my number programmed. Use it if you need anything." She stared at the phone, the latest model, one she'd admired but could never afford. He'd somehow had it delivered in the hour since they'd parted. The man was efficient. She'd give him that. Another text came through on her old phone from Ethan. "The package is from me. Should have warned you. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you." She texted back from the new phone. "How did you know I'd be scared?" "Because you're smart enough to be cautious, and because I had Martin, my security head, do a threat assessment. Your ex has left items at your door before." "You had me investigated?" "I had your stalker investigated. There's a difference. Jason Thorne has a record, 2 restraining orders from previous girlfriends, an assault charge that was pleaded down, and a suspended license for road rage. He's escalating, Danielle." She sank onto her bed, fear creeping back in. "What do you mean, escalating?" "His pattern is accelerating. The time between attempts to contact you is decreasing. Tonight was the first time he's followed you into a building. My security team thinks he's building up to something." "Your security team?" "I asked them to assess the situation while we were having dinner. I hope you don't mind." She should mind. She should be offended at the invasion of privacy. But all she felt was relief that someone was taking this seriously. "What should I do? Let me help, please." That night she barely slept. Every noise in the hallway made her jump, but she clutched the new phone like a lifeline, Ethan's number glowing on the screen. The next morning, she arrived at Grounded Coffee an hour early, nervous energy making her hands shake as she unlocked the door. She'd changed her outfit 3 times before settling on jeans and a soft blue sweater, casual but pretty. She wanted to look like herself, not like she was trying too hard for a millionaire who was way out of her league. At exactly 10 o'clock, Ethan walked in. He was dressed down, for him, in dark jeans and a cashmere sweater that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe. He looked younger, more approachable, devastatingly handsome. "You came," she said. "You thought I wouldn't?" "I thought maybe you'd wake up and realize I'm nobody special." "I did wake up and realize something," he said, approaching the counter. "I realized I haven't been excited about anything in years. Until last night. Until you." Her cheeks burned. "What can I make you?" "Surprise me." She crafted him a perfect flat white, drawing a small wolf in the foam, something she only did for special orders. His eyes lit up when she handed it over. "A wolf?" "You seemed like a wolf person. Lone wolf type." Incredibly accurate. He took a sip, and his expression shifted to genuine surprise. "This is perfect. Actually perfect. I told you I make excellent coffee." "You undersold yourself. This is art." Her manager, Tony, emerged from the back office, took one look at Ethan, and nearly dropped his clipboard. "Mr. Cole, what are you doing here?" "Having coffee. Danielle makes the best in the city." "You know Mr. Cole?" Tony asked Danielle, incredulous. "We met yesterday," she said carefully. Tony looked between them several times, then retreated to his office, muttering about needing to update his LinkedIn. "You're causing a scene," Danielle told Ethan. "I'm drinking coffee. Hardly scandalous." The morning rush started, and Ethan moved to a corner table, pulling out his laptop. But she noticed he spent more time watching her work than looking at his screen. Every time she glanced over, he was studying her with an intensity that made her stomach flutter. Between customers, she brought him a croissant. "You should eat something with all that coffee." "You're taking care of me now?" "Someone should." "When's the last time you ate a proper breakfast?" "Define proper." "Not a protein bar at your desk," he laughed. "Then it's been a while." A customer recognized him then, a young tech entrepreneur who practically vibrated with excitement. "You're Ethan Cole. Oh man, you're like my hero. Your TED talk on predictive algorithms changed my life. Could I pitch you my idea? Just 30 seconds? Ethan looked at Danielle, who was trying not to laugh. "I'm actually in a meeting right now," he said seriously. with Ms. Brooks. She's consulting on a marketing strategy for us." The entrepreneur's eyes widened as he looked at Danielle with new respect. "Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Here's my card if you ever have time." After he left, Danielle shook her head. "You just lied to a potential business partner." "I didn't lie. I'm hoping to convince you to consult for us. We need someone who understands small business marketing." "Ethan, be serious." "I'm always serious about business. Cole Technologies is launching a small business security suite. We need someone who understands that market." "I'm a barista." "You're a marketing analyst serving coffee. There's a difference." The lunch rush hit, and to her amazement, Ethan rolled up his sleeves and helped. He cleared tables, ran the register while she made drinks, even mopped up a spilled latte. Customers stared in shock. Some clearly recognized him but couldn't believe what they were seeing. "You're going to ruin your reputation," she said during a brief lull. "My reputation could use some humanizing." "The Wolf of Tech Street, serving coffee? You Googled me." "Of course I Googled you. You're worth $400 million. 410, actually. We had a good quarter." "Oh, excuse me, 410 million. He grinned. "It's just numbers on a screen. This—" He gestured to the coffee shop. To her, "This is real." Her phone, the new one he'd given her, buzzed. A text from an unknown number, but she recognized the message style immediately. "Jason. Nice new boyfriend. Won't last. You always come back to me." Her face must have changed because Ethan was beside her immediately. "What is it?" She showed him the phone. "I don't know how he got this number. You just gave it to me. He must be watching." Ethan's voice was calm, but his eyes were dangerous. He pulled out his own phone, typed rapidly. "Martin's on his way with a team. They'll sweep the area." "This is insane. I can't have a security team." "You can, and you will." "Ethan, please." He took her hands, and she was startled by how right they felt in his. "Let me protect you. I couldn't protect Lizzie until it was almost too late. Let me do this right." Within 10 minutes, 3 serious-looking men in dark suits entered the coffee shop. The one in front, Martin, she assumed, looked like he could bench press a car. "Sir, we've located him. Parked across the street in a rental car. He's been there since you arrived." "Call the police," Ethan said. "He's violating the restraining order I filed last night." "Already done, sir. They're en route." Through the window, Danielle watched Jason being arrested, his face contorted with rage as he screamed something she couldn't hear. She should feel victorious, but all she felt was tired. "It's not over," she said quietly. "He'll make bail. He always does." "Not this time," Ethan said. "My lawyers found 2 other women he's stalked. They're pressing charges. Combined with violating the new restraining order, he's looking at serious jail time." "You did all that since last night?" "I don't sleep much." Tony appeared, looking between the security team, the police cars outside, and Ethan. "Danielle, take the rest of the day, actually take the week, paid." "Tony, I can't." "You can. Mr. Cole's assistant called this morning. Cole Technologies wants to hire you as a consultant. If we give you the time off you need, they'll provide cybersecurity for the shop for free." He looked at Ethan with something like awe. "That's a $50,000 value." "Ethan!" Danielle turned to him, shocked. "You can't just—" "I can, and I did. The offer's legitimate. We really do need a small business marketing consultant. The fact that it helps you is just a bonus." She wanted to be angry at his high-handedness, but the relief was too overwhelming. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes. To the consulting. To dinner tonight. To letting me keep you safe." This is moving so fast. "I know, but I've spent 3 years moving at a glacial pace in my personal life, and it got me nowhere. Sometimes you have to take a leap, like sitting on a stranger's lap. Exactly like that." That evening, Ethan picked her up in his town car. She'd agonized over what to wear before settling on a simple black dress she'd bought in better times. When he saw her, his eyes darkened appreciatively. "You look beautiful." "You have to say that. You've seen me covered in coffee grounds." That was beautiful too. He took her to a different restaurant, smaller, more intimate, less intimidating. I thought you might prefer somewhere quieter tonight. How do you know what I prefer? I pay attention. Over dinner, he told her more about his company, his vision for making high-end security accessible to small businesses. She shared her ideas about marketing to that demographic, and he listened intently, occasionally typing notes into his phone. You're actually serious about the consulting thing. I'm always serious about business, and about you. You barely know me. I know you're brilliant, passionate, resilient, kind even when the world hasn't been kind to you. He paused. And I know I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since you dropped into my lap. I sat gracefully. You crashed into my life like a beautiful meteor. After dinner, he took her to his apartment to show her the Cole Technologies offices. They were in the same building, the top 10 floors. His apartment was exactly as his sister had described, sterile, cold, expensive, but impersonal. It's like a very expensive hospital, Danielle said, looking around. That's actually nicer than what Lizzie said. What did Lizzie say? Serial killer chic. She laughed, wandering to the floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over Manhattan. The view is incredible, though. It's better with you in it. She turned to find him watching her with that intensity that made her knees weak. Ethan, I know, too fast, but I can't help how I feel. How do you feel? Like I've been sleepwalking for 3 years and you woke me up. Like everything before last night was just marking time. He moved closer, not touching but close enough that she could feel his warmth. Like I would do anything to keep you safe and happy. I'm scared, she admitted. Of me? Of feeling this way. The last time I felt this way, it nearly destroyed me. I'm not him. I know, that's what scares me more. You could hurt me worse because you're... you. I would never, not on purpose. But Ethan, you're you and I'm me. You're brilliant and successful and gorgeous. I'm a barista with a stalker and a studio apartment in Queens. You're a marketing genius temporarily serving coffee. You're a survivor who's about to rebuild her empire. You're the woman who changed my life by asking for help. He kissed her then, soft and careful, giving her every opportunity to pull away. She didn't. Instead, she melted into him, feeling safer than she had in years. When they pulled apart, she was breathless. This is crazy. The best things usually are. What happens tomorrow? Tomorrow, you start consulting for Cole Technologies. We work together on the small business initiative. We have dinner. We see where this goes. And if it doesn't work? Then at least we tried. But Danielle, he cupped her face gently. I have a feeling about this, about us. What kind of feeling? The kind that makes me want to redesign my entire life to include you in it. 3 months later, Danielle stood in the Cole Technologies conference room, presenting her marketing strategy to a room full of executives. She'd been consulting for 2 months, but this was her first major presentation. Ethan sat at the head of the table, his expression professionally neutral, but she could see pride in his eyes. The small business market isn't just about reduced pricing, she explained, clicking through her slides. It's about understanding their unique pain points. They don't need enterprise-level solutions. They need protection that grows with them. Our campaign should focus on partnership, not just service. What's the projected ROI? Asked the CFO, a stern woman named Patricia. Based on my analysis, implementing this strategy could capture 15% of the untapped small business market within the first year. That's approximately $200 million in new revenue. The room went quiet. Patricia's eyebrows rose. That's ambitious. It's realistic if we execute properly. I've identified 3 key market segments, Danielle continued, feeling more confident with each slide. After the presentation, the executives filed out, most looking impressed. Patricia stopped beside her. That was excellent work, Ms. Brooks. Ethan was right about you. When they were alone, Ethan pulled her into his arms. You were brilliant. I was terrified. It didn't show. You commanded that room like you'd been doing it for years. I had a good teacher. She'd been working with Ethan every evening, practicing her presentation, refining her strategy. Their work sessions usually ended with dinner, sometimes with her staying over. His apartment was slowly becoming less sterile. Throw pillows she'd bought, photos from their adventures, her coffee maker in his pristine kitchen. "Have dinner with me tonight," he said. "Somewhere special. More special than usual. Significantly more special." That evening, he took her to a private rooftop garden overlooking Central Park. It was just them, fairy lights, and a table for two under the stars. "Ethan, this is too much." "Nothing is too much for you." He pulled out her chair. "Besides, we're celebrating." "The presentation?" "That and something else." He handed her an envelope. Inside was a business registration form. Brooks Digital Consulting, LLC was printed at the top, along with an office address in the Cole Technologies building. "Ethan, before you object, it's not charity. You'll pay rent, reduced for the first year as a startup incentive we offer all new businesses. You've already got 3 clients lined up besides us. You're ready, Danielle." She stared at the papers. This was her dream, literally in her hands. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Take the leap." "What if I fail?" "Then you'll try again. But you won't fail. You're too smart, too determined." "How do you have such faith in me?" "Because I've watched you rebuild yourself from nothing. Because you took a minimum wage job and still found ways to practice your craft. Because you're the strongest person I know." She kissed him then, pouring all her gratitude and growing love into it. When they pulled apart, he was smiling. "So, that's a yes?" "That's a yes." They were interrupted by her phone, her old one, which she kept for work. It was Tony from the coffee shop. "Danielle, I'm sorry to call so late, but there's been an incident. Jason was here. He destroyed the shop. Windows, equipment, everything. The police are here." Her blood ran cold. "Was anyone hurt?" "No, it was after closing. But Danielle, he spray-painted something on the wall. About you." Ethan took the phone from her shaking hands. "Tony, this is Ethan Cole. Is the scene secure?" "Good, we're on our way." "And Tony, Cole Technologies will cover all damages and upgrades. You'll be operational by morning." In the car, Danielle stared out the window, tears streaming down her face. "He's never going to stop. Even from jail, even with restraining orders. Yes, he will." Ethan's voice was deadly calm. "This ends now." At the coffee shop, the damage was extensive. The windows were shattered, the espresso machine destroyed, tables overturned. On the wall, in red spray paint, "Danielle is mine." "He was out on bail from the last arrest," the detective explained. "We have him on camera doing this. With the vandalism and threats, he's looking at serious time now." "Not enough," Ethan said quietly. He pulled out his phone, made a call. "Marcus, I need you to buy something for me. Yes, now." "What are you doing?" Danielle asked. "Ending this. Marcus is buying Jason's company's debt. They're leveraged to the hilt. It'll take about an hour to gain controlling interest, then we're shutting them down." "Ethan, you can't destroy a company because—" "Watch me. He destroyed your peace of mind, your career, your sense of safety. Destroying his company is mercy compared to what I want to do." By morning, Jason's company was in bankruptcy. His assets were frozen pending lawsuits from former employees Ethan's lawyers had found, people Jason had harassed, cheated, or wronged. The man who'd terrorized Danielle was facing not just jail time, but complete financial ruin. "You didn't have to do that," Danielle said as they stood in the rebuilt coffee shop. Ethan's team had worked through the night. It was actually nicer than before. "Yes, I did. Nobody hurts you. Ever. You can't protect me from everything. I can try." She looked at this man who'd upended his entire life for her, buying buildings, destroying companies, rebuilding coffee shops. "I love you," she said suddenly. He froze. "What?" "I love you. I've been too scared to say it, but I do. You're nothing like I expected and everything I needed." He kissed her deeply, right there in the coffee shop, in front of Tony and the morning customers and everyone. When they pulled apart, he was grinning. "I love you too. Have since that first night. When I literally threw myself at you. When you trusted me enough to ask for help. 6 months later, Brooks Digital Consulting had 10 clients and 2 employees. Danielle had moved into Ethan's apartment officially, though she'd insisted on keeping her studio for a while, just in case. He'd supported that decision, understanding her need for independence. Jason was serving 5 years in prison. The other women he'd stalked had come forward, inspired by Danielle's courage. He wouldn't be bothering anyone for a long time. One evening, Danielle was working late in her office when Ethan appeared with takeout from her favorite Thai place. "You need to eat," he said, unpacking containers. "You need to stop taking care of me." "Never." They ate sitting on the floor of her office, city lights twinkling through the windows. Her business was thriving, their relationship was solid, and for the first time in years, she felt truly safe. "Move in with me properly," Ethan said suddenly. "I already live with you." "But you still have the studio. Let it go. Trust this. Trust us." She looked at him, this man who'd saved her in every way a person could be saved. "Okay. Really? Really. But I'm redecorating your entire apartment. Our apartment. And please do. Lizzie will be thrilled." The next morning, she was back at the coffee shop for her Saturday shift. She still worked 1 day a week, partly for sentiment, partly to stay grounded. Ethan was at his usual table, laptop open but watching her more than his screen. A young woman burst through the door looking panicked. A man was following her, anger radiating from every step. Without thinking, Danielle stepped between them. "Can I help you?" she asked the woman. I need... "Sarah," Danielle called out loudly, as if recognizing an old friend. "Oh my God, it's been forever. Come here." She pulled the stranger behind the counter, whispered, "Play along, you're safe." The man hesitated at the doorway. Ethan stood, his presence suddenly filling the space. "There a problem here?" The man looked between Ethan and Danielle, seemed to recognize something in their united front, and left. The woman, not Sarah but Claire, collapsed into a chair, shaking. "Thank you. He's my ex. He won't leave me alone." "I understand," Danielle said, pouring her a coffee. "I've been there." She told Claire an abbreviated version of her story, then handed her a card. "This is Martin Chen, head of security at Cole Technologies. Tell him I sent you. He'll help with everything, restraining orders, safe housing, whatever you need." "Why would you help me?" "Because someone helped me once. A stranger who could have pushed me away but didn't." After Claire left with Martin's team, Ethan pulled Danielle into his arms. "You're amazing. I learned from the best. We should do more of this. Help more women escape these situations. The Cole Brooks Foundation has a nice ring to it." 1 year later, the Cole Brooks Foundation had helped 50 women escape abusive relationships. They provided legal aid, safe housing, job training, and counseling. Danielle ran it alongside her consulting business, which had grown to 15 employees. She was in her office when Ethan's assistant knocked. "Ms. Brooks, Mr. Cole asked me to tell you he needs you in the conference room." She found the room dark except for candles everywhere. Ethan stood in the center, in the exact spot where she'd given her first presentation. "What's all this? Do you know what today is?" "Tuesday? It's exactly 2 years since you sat on my lap." "You remember the exact date?" "I remember everything about that night. What you were wearing, how scared you looked, how perfectly you fit in my arms." He dropped to one knee. "Danielle Brooks, you crashed into my life and changed everything. You made me want to be better, do better, live better. Will you marry me?" Through her tears, she saw the ring. Elegant, perfect, exactly her style. "Yes," she said, laughing and crying simultaneously. "Yes, of course, yes." He slipped the ring on her finger and stood to kiss her. The lights came on, and she realized the room was full of people. Her employees, his executives, Tony from the coffee shop, even Lizzie, who'd flown in from Boston. "You planned this?" "With help. Lizzie's been calling me every day for a month, making sure I didn't, and I quote, screw this up with some impersonal tech bro proposal." Lizzie hugged Danielle tightly. "Thank you for saving my brother from becoming a complete robot." The wedding was 6 months later, a perfect blend of elegant and intimate. Danielle walked down the aisle in a dress that cost more than her old annual salary, but she'd never felt more herself. Ethan waited at the altar, tears streaming down his face. 2.5 years ago, Ethan said in his vows, a desperate woman sat on my lap to escape danger. What she didn't know was that I was the one who needed saving. From loneliness, from emptiness, from a life that looked successful but felt meaningless. You saved me, Danielle. Every day, you saved me. 2.5 years ago, Danielle said in hers, I thought my life was over. I was running, scared, broken. Then a stranger caught me, literally and figuratively. You didn't just protect me, Ethan. You helped me rebuild myself stronger. You showed me that asking for help isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing we can do. Their first dance was to At Last by Etta James. As they swayed together, Ethan whispered, Thank you for trusting me that night. Thank you for catching me. Always will. 5 years after that desperate night, Danielle stood in the coffee shop, which she now owned, having bought it from Tony when he retired. It was the flagship location for Grounded, which had become a chain of coffee shops that employed women escaping abusive situations. She was training a new barista, a young woman named Amy who'd come to them through the Colbrooks Foundation, when the door chimed. A regular customer walked in, an elderly man who'd been coming there for years. The usual, Mr. Patterson. Please. And Danielle. I wanted to thank you. For what? My granddaughter. She was in a situation like yours. The foundation helped her escape. She's safe now, starting college. Because of what you built. After he left, Amy asked, Is it true? The story about you and Mr. Cole? What story? That you sat on his lap to escape your ex? Danielle smiled. It's true. That's the most romantic thing I've ever heard. It didn't feel romantic at the time, it felt terrifying. But it worked out. It did, but not because it was meant to be, or fate, or any of that. It worked out because we chose to make it work. Every day we choose each other. That evening she came home to find Ethan cooking dinner, something he'd learned to do in the past few years. Their twin daughters, Sophie and Emma, were helping by making a mess with flour. Mommy! They ran to her, leaving floury handprints on her designer suit. How was your day? Ethan asked, kissing her hello. Good. The new Queens location is ahead of projections. The foundation helped 3 more women today. Oh, and Mr. Patterson's granddaughter is doing well. The one from last month? Yes, she's starting college. After the girls were in bed, they stood on their terrace looking out at the city. The apartment had been completely transformed. Warm, lived in, full of children's art and family photos. Do you ever think about it? Ethan asked. What would have happened if you'd chosen a different restaurant that night? Sometimes. But then I remember something. What? That maybe it wasn't random. Maybe some part of me recognized something in you. Safety, strength, possibility. Maybe we were always meant to find each other. You believe in fate now? I believe in choices, and I choose you, every day. Even when I buy buildings without asking? Even then. She laughed. How many do you own now? Just the 12. Ethan, they're good investments, and they all house foundation services. She shook her head but smiled. This was her life. Married to a man who bought buildings like most people bought coffee, raising 2 beautiful girls, running successful businesses, helping women escape the situation she'd once been in, all because she'd sat on a stranger's lap one desperate December night. I love you, she said. I love you too. Thank you for sitting on me. Thank you for catching me. Always have, always will. Their story had become legend in their circle, the billionaire and the barista, the lap that launched a love story. But for them it was simpler. It was proof that sometimes the worst moments led to the best outcomes, that strangers could become saviors, that love could grow from the most desperate ground. Years later, when their daughters were teenagers, Sophie asked, Mum, how did you know Dad was the one? Danielle thought about it. I didn't. Not at first. I was just scared and desperate, and he was there. but he showed me every day that he was worth trusting, worth loving, worth building a life with. That's not very romantic, Emma complained. Real love rarely is at first, Ethan said, joining them. Real love is built on choices, on showing up, on trust earned over time. But the lap thing is pretty romantic, Sophie insisted. The lap thing was terrifying, Danielle corrected. The romance came later. Would you do it again? Emma asked. Danielle looked at Ethan, at their daughters, at the life they'd built from such a desperate beginning. Every time, she said, in every universe, I would always choose to sit on your father's lap. Gross, both girls said in unison, but they were smiling. The Cole Brooks Foundation eventually became the largest organization helping women escape abusive relationships, with chapters in every major city. The coffee shop chain grew to 50 locations, each one employing and training women starting over. Danielle's consulting firm became the go-to for small businesses looking to compete with larger corporations. But the heart of it all remained that first coffee shop, that corner table where Ethan had sat every day for months, falling in love with a woman who'd literally fallen into his lap. They kept the table exactly as it was, with a small plaque that read, "Sometimes the best things begin with the worst moments. Sometimes strangers become family. Sometimes sitting on someone's lap changes everything." Every anniversary they returned to that table. They'd order coffee. Danielle still made Ethan's herself. Sit in the same seats and remember. No regrets? Ethan would always ask. Only one, Danielle would always answer. What? I should have sat on your lap sooner. And they'd laugh, knowing that everything had happened exactly when it was supposed to. That sometimes you had to be broken to be rebuilt stronger. That sometimes you had to be desperate to be brave. That sometimes you had to fall to learn you could fly. Their love story wasn't a fairy tale. It was better. It was real, built on trust earned day by day, choice by choice. It was proof that love could grow from the rockiest ground, that protection could become partnership, that a desperate moment could become a lifetime of joy. All because one December night, a scared woman sat on a stranger's lap and asked him to play along. And he did. Forever. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel for more unexpected love stories. Share in the comments. Have you ever found love in an unexpected place? Do you believe the worst moments can lead to the best outcomes? Remember, sometimes the person who catches you when you fall becomes the one who helps you soar. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you never miss our next romantic adventure.